Good morning, Jane.
Good evening, Lisa. We've got a catchphrase. Good evening, Lisa.
I like
that. Cheers. How are you?
I am good. I am good. How are you doing today on this fine day?
Yeah, I'm okay, actually. It's a bit overcast here, so it's not so very fine. But it is, yeah, if I look a bit blurry-eyed, it's because I've had lots of events on. So, yeah, been busy.
Very excited. Which some little behind the scenes might be coming to a future Foodies episode. So,
yeah, I hope so. That would be exciting. Really looking forward to that. So, lots of ideas in the pipeline.
Well, you know what I'm excited about? I'm excited about chatting to you about the fabulous, amazing, incredible, tasty Myrtle seasonings.
Yeah. So the reason behind this, I should say, this is a new product that I launched not very long ago. And you're my number one fan.
I love them. Oh my gosh, I love them.
And yeah, I'm really pleased with them. But we thought it might be interesting for anybody that's thinking about launching a product or becoming a small artisan producer. You know, if we can help, we'd love to help. You know, we're happy to promote your products. So just shout out to us. But yeah, I thought I could tell you a little bit about what I do. Lisa will ask me questions, and then we can share our fountain of knowledge with you. Does that make sense?
I love this. I love this. I love being able to interview you and chat with you about these amazing seasonings, which are incredible. The flavor
is amazing, isn't
it?
Amazing. So these are they.
Tins.
This one says open on the top because it's one that I've opened at an event to show people what's inside the tin. And I don't want to get them mixed up and sell them to customers. So I always slam open on the top. So that's top tip number one. Do not sell your customer an open tin or jar or whatever you do. But I mean, of course, I started with preserves. And I've got a range of preserves that we create, which you've tasted, Lisa.
Which are fantastic.
Yeah, and we started that 7 years ago. And for probably about 5 years of that 7, I've been trying to create a preserve with lemon myrtle in it. And the lemon myrtle was just lost. And it's such a superb product. If you've ever smelt lemon myrtle, it's dreamy. It's lovely. I so love having it in the kitchen. It's something that comes from Australia. It's been used for thousands and thousands of years by the Aborigines over there for medicinal purposes. And it's got a sort of list as long as your arm of all the medicinal properties within it. But I was finding it was getting lost in a preserve, in the cooking process. And I just felt I couldn't find a recipe or create a recipe, I should say, that did it justice. So I backtracked, and this is what we're finished with, my little tins. So in these, what we have is lemon myrtle. All of them have lemon myrtle. They all have a Droitwich brine salt, which is a salt that is mined about 30 miles away from here. And it's a very subtle salt. I think you'd agree with me, Lisa. I'm talking a lot. It's some salts can be quite harsh on the palate. This isn't. It's just a really good carrier. And then we've got another herb in each one. So we've got tarragon, we've got mint, we've got thyme, we've got oregano, we've got dill, and what have I missed? Rosemary. So, but the most important thing, if you're starting off a business and creating a new product of your own, you've got to have something that sells itself. You know, I know what's in this tin, you know what's in this tin, you know it's good, but a customer looking at it doesn't have a clue. And so I don't know if you can see my sort of groove. I'll put some photos up.
Yeah, we'll put some photos. Yeah.
But it has to sell itself, because you're not there to promote it. You're not there to enthuse about it. So invest in good good labels, good design. Packaging is
so
paramount.
important.
Yeah.
Packaging is so important because you can have a wonderful product, and if it's not in a packaging, if it's not in packaging, it catches your eye, that entices you to want to buy it, it entices you to want to open it. But then also the quality of the product is so important, and the quality of your product is fantastic.
I pride myself on that. That's why we've got Loving Great Food as our logo, and the taste is paramount. Absolutely. If it doesn't taste good, it doesn't go out there. But it's not fair on your if you're hoping as a small artisan producer to get your product into the shop, it's not fair on the shopkeeper really if you're putting it out there and it's not going to sell. So you really need to think about your point of sale stuff, your labels, your colors, your vibrancy, and just take a step back. Sadly, it's not all about the product. Yep. It has to be about what the product is in as well. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I've said that makes sense quite a few times, but
absolutely. I think that's fantastic. No, it makes perfect sense, because there could be people watching right now who have wanted to go into the small business and create products of their own, and it's important to have a perspective of someone who's been there and done it successfully.
Yeah. So, and of course you've got all of your valuable. I don't know about over in America. I'm guessing in America it's probably you've got even more loopholes than we have. I don't know, to jump through when it comes to food hygiene and ticking all of those boxes.
Oh, absolutely. You have to cook in a commercial kitchen. It has to, or if it's not a cooked product, if it would be like an herb product, something that's not cooked, it still has to be following FDA guidelines, and
Yeah, so we have to approach our local authority, who would have an inspector that would come out and check your kitchen or wherever you're producing your goods. If you want to go one bigger, one better, and you're looking at getting into bigger stores, then it could be that you have to go down a whole different line, which is over here, a lot of them look for salsa representation, which is quite a hoop to jump through. But start smaller and just make sure it's the direction you want to go in. And I'm thrilled with the response to my little tins. It's just been wonderful. I'm really chuffed. Yeah. And they're so versatile because you can use them in dishes. When you're cooking, you can sprinkle them onto dishes, you can use them savory or sweet, but that lemon myrtle just brings out something in the food, doesn't it? It brings out flavor.
It really does. It really does. I've used the spices in everything from chicken dishes to meat dishes to fish to on top of focaccia.
Oh yeah, I haven't done that yet. That's on my to-do list.
So delicious. I even put some of which one did I put? The oregano I put on some hummus, which was delicious.
Oh, see the oregano. The oregano. I'm so lucky where I'm based because I've got a baker's on site in a neighbouring unit. So I get a fresh slice of bread. And we've got the most amazing tomatoes being grown locally as well, from Vale Nurseries, I think they're called. So I just slice the tomato up and I sprinkle some of the oregano on top of that. And that it's just the most delicious meal.
I was actually thinking of tomatoes. I was actually going to do a goat cheese tomato tart that I haven't done in a while.
Ooh,
I always put some fresh thyme in it, but I'm going to do some of the Myrtle seasoning thyme.
Yeah, lovely. The herby bread actually that we made, was it last week or the week before? Can't remember, for the picnic episode.
Yes, for our picnic episode.
I sprinkled the rosemary one on top of that.
So good. It's so good.
Really versatile, really versatile. But if you've got any questions, if you are thinking about starting a business, I'm getting to be a bit of an old hand at this.
That's the expert.
That's the old.
Right there.
So just drop some questions below. We're always happy to, if we know the answers, we'll share them. If we don't help each other out. what's the point?
Exactly.
So yeah, and we're going to cook for you
I
as
think
well.
so. Is it time to head to our kitchens and cook with the delicious Myrtle seasonings?
What are you cooking? Tell me what you're cooking first.
So I am going to do a version of this French chicken dish that I do with like this mustard, lemon mustard herb chicken. And I'm going to be using, I think I'm going to use a combination of the seasonings. I'm going to be using the thyme and oregano.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go a little bit risque, and I put this out there on social media, and yeah, it had a very positive response. And I am going to do a toffee sauce, hot toffee sauce to put over your ice cream or fruit or whatever, but it's going to be a salted caramel toffee sauce.
I'm drooling. I'm so hungry now.
It's quite naughty. It's quite.
That sounds amazing.
It is quite amazing. I'm going to use the thyme.
Okay.
I've made a minted one as well. I've used a mint one, but unfortunately with mint, the color tends to leach out of mint.
Oh, right.
And that's a horrible word to use, leach, isn't it?
It just dissipates.
Yeah, that's a better word. Thank you.
English
the color
major.
dissipates out of the mint, and it goes slightly grey as a consequence.
Okay.
But I tell you, if you can cope with the color going slightly grey, and I'm a bit pedantic on these things, probably nobody else noticed, to be honest. I mean, it was nice. Minted salted caramel sauce was delicious.
Ooh, that does sound really delicious.
Yeah, it was good. So, you know, you could do whatever, but I'm going to use the thyme today.
I love it. I love it. Well, okay, so now that we're starving, hopefully everyone watching is super happy. Can we get to our kitchens?
Hungry.
Let's get to our kitchens. All right, so here I'm in my kitchen, and I'm gonna make one of my favorite easy chicken dinners. You can make this with bone and skin on chicken thighs, which I'm actually doing tonight. You can also do boneless, skinless chicken thighs. You can do chicken breasts. You can actually adapt this to a whole roast chicken. Any way you do it will be delicious. You can also use pork if you want to use pork. And the ingredients are super easy and also adaptable. But what's not adaptable is using Myrtle seasonings. So just as Jane was saying, these are amazing. I'm not using just one, I'm using two. So I've got the thyme and the oregano tonight. And I'm also doing a little bit of lemon zest. I've got some garlic. I have some tiny little cherry tomatoes that I cut up. I have some pepper. Normally I would season with salt, but there's already this beautiful salt that's in the seasonings, so I'm not gonna use any salt. Olive oil, wine, of course, because it's a French recipe, and some good Dijon mustard. I love Grey Poupon, just standard Dijon mustard. You can also use the country mustard, the seeded mustard if you want, but love the Dijon. Do not use yellow mustard. All right, so I just have my chicken thighs in a Pyrex dish. You can also do this on a baking sheet if you want as well. If you do it on a baking sheet though, I would omit the wine because it might get a little too sloppy and you're gonna spill wine all over the inside of your oven, which would not be good. So first things first, I'm gonna do a little seasoning with the pepper. So you wanna sprinkle liberally. The recipe for this is gonna be the link below the YouTube video, as well as it will link over to the website. So you want to just do good liberal sprinkling of pepper. And then I'm going to do my spices next. Oh, can you see how gorgeous that is? It is just so good. So I'm going to do a really generous pinch. And it's really good when you're doing dried herbs to crumble them up between your fingers because that releases extra flavor. So you don't want to just take it and sprinkle. You want to, as you're sprinkling, really squish it between your fingers because that releases the oils, it releases so much more flavor. So we're gonna do, I would guess this is probably about 2 teaspoons. I love recipes where you really don't even have to measure, but if you like measurements, there'll be exact measurements in the recipe. So we've got 1 and we're gonna do 2. Thyme and oregano are such great spices and herbs and flavors to use with chicken. You can also use Myrtle seasonings. Jane also has one with tarragon that would also be delicious. You could even add a third, do thyme, oregano, and tarragon. Or you could just do tarragon. I love tarragon with chicken. So again, just doing a really generous sprinkle of those. Next comes a very generous dollop of mustard. And yes, we're gonna use 1 spoon for this, and I'll get a different spoon, and you're gonna want to really take a spoon and spread the spices and the mustard and all the ingredients around over the chicken to really get them into the chicken skin. All right, so I do a good generous dollop, because you want it to be good and mustardy. More for there. And then, as you know, I love my microplane. So this is a ginormous lemon. So I'll do probably half of this. And then we're also gonna use the lemon juice at the end when we add the wine. And this dish comes together so quick and easily. Again, like you can use pork, you can use any kind of chicken that you want. You can make it ahead of time and just put the chicken in your fridge and then take it out, let it get to room temperature. Maybe let it sit out for about 30 minutes before you bake it. And it's so good. And if you're really in a rush, just don't use bone in, skin on, use boneless, and it will cook that much faster. Alrighty, so we've got that. I'm also gonna do some olive oil, a really good drizzle of olive oil over every single, you wanna really coat them really well. Because once this cooks up, it's really gonna be really tender and juicy chicken, not dried out chicken. All right, so we're gonna save the garlic and the tomatoes and the wine, and right now you can use your hands. If you're squeamish, just use another spoon, and you really wanna get in, really spread everything around each chicken, and that way it's really getting into the skin to create massive, insane amount of flavor. So, go. And then that's why I like to use 2 spoons, because I feel like this guy needs a little bit more mustard. I think he does too. I love it. You can adjust this and use less mustard if you want. You can use a little spicy mustard if you like a little spice. You can add some red pepper flakes. There we go. Okay, that looks good. All right, then we're gonna take this and put it in the sink. Let's touch the chicken. And then, super easy with the garlic. You don't have to peel it, you don't have to mince it. You can if you want. I like to nestle these in, and then they get all nice and roasted, and oh, they melt into the sauce. And then you can take them and squeeze it out at the end to add even extra flavor. We'll do a little sprinkling of tomatoes. I like to add some veggies in as well. These gorgeous, this is perfect to use up summer tomatoes, because the summer tomatoes are almost gonna be disappearing, and make room for fall. I just kind of sprinkle these in. You don't have to be precious. You can add more, you can add less. You can leave them out altogether if you don't want to add tomatoes. You don't need to add tomatoes at all. And then we are going to, let me cut the lemon. We're gonna squeeze a little bit of lemon juice over the top. A little extra lemony flavor. Add the juice of half a lemon. It depends on, this is a really juicy lemon, so I'm just gonna use about half of that lemon. If you want to know the secret to finding lemons that have tons of juice, for citrus, hold it in your hand. If it's heavy, it's gonna be loaded with juice. And that applies to lemons, oranges, limes. If it's really light in your hand, it's gonna be disappointing when you open it. It won't have much juice. So look for the really heavy ones. Alrighty, and then a little bit of wine. Use wine that you like to drink. It does not have to be expensive. That does not mean you need to use expensive wine. I'll use probably about a quarter of a cup, a little bit more. This makes a really beautiful sauce, and also the liquid will keep it nice and juicy and tender. Just a little bit. And then, to get the skin nice and crispy, my 2 tips for you are, start off your chicken at 425 for the first 10 minutes to start getting it nice and golden brown. But then before you put it in the oven, I add just a little bit. My godmother was French, and this was a tip she taught me when she would cook. You always add a little bit of butter, and this also is gonna add to the flavor. It's gonna melt into the chicken and create crispy skin. So you wanna add just a little bit to the top of each chicken. All right, and now if you're doing a roast chicken, I would soften a stick of butter and then rub that all over the top of the chicken. Okay. And you don't have to rub it, just leave it as is. When it cooks, it's gonna melt in, it's gonna make really crispy, gorgeous skin and add flavor. All right, so this is gonna go in at 425 for 10 minutes, then I'm gonna lower it to 375 for about 25 minutes until the chicken is cooked through. You definitely need to know your oven. My oven tends to cook really quick, so anytime you're looking at a recipe, it's super important to judge the time based on your oven. So this usually, from start to finish, takes my oven about 40 minutes, but it could take your oven up to an hour depending upon how hot your oven is. So in it goes, and I will show you what it looks like when it's all cooked and gorgeous. All right, chicken is out of the oven. Look how gorgeous it looks. It's all nice and golden brown on top. The tomatoes got a little bit, oh gosh, they got a little bit wilted and stewy and released all their juices. You can remove the chicken and then make this more into a gravy, but I am just gonna serve this over some couscous. You can serve it over some orzo. And let me show you what you can also do with the garlic. So I let this cool for a little bit because it will be hot. So you can take a fork, just remove all the garlic, and then you can literally squeeze out this beautiful roasted garlic, and you can mash it right into this to put in with the chicken, or you can put it over some toast, some bread. Either way, it'll be delicious. All right, my family's hungry, so I'm gonna go serve this up. Cheers, cheers to you guys, cheers to you, Jane, and we'll see you next time. Recipes below.
Here are the ingredients that you will need to make your really naughty sticky toffee sauce. So we've got 125 grams of butter. I just said so I apologize for that. I'm trying to kick that habit. 125 grams of unsalted butter. Use unsalted if you can, because then you can regulate the saltiness of your sauce. If you go and put a really salty butter in to start off with, you might be a bit stymied at the end and not like the flavour. We've got 150 grams of soft brown sugar. That's a lovely soft, really gooey one, that one. We've got some vanilla paste. We've got double cream. Got to show you this cream. Look how thick that cream is. Doesn't budge. That's somebody I'd love to interview, the Dutchie, but yeah, that might be wishful thinking. We've got my lemon seasoning that we're going to add into this one. Lemon myrtle seasoning, which also includes the Droitwich brine salt and thyme. And if you're feeling particularly naughty, which I'm sure somebody not a million miles away from here would be, you can always add a little bit of whiskey or your favourite tipple at the end to the sauce to make it a little bit more grown up. Right, should we get on and cook then? Melt the butter in a small saucepan. Whisk in the brown sugar until it's well combined. For 4 to 5 minutes, whisking occasionally until the sauce becomes a lovely dark and wet colour. Remove the caramel from the heat, and then add your cream, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla, and I've put 1/4 thyme seasoning mix in. I've added a little bit more later on because find yourself some really nice vanilla ice cream. I've used a local vanilla one, which is made with Guernsey milk, really good. Pour on your hot sticky sauce, sorry about the sound effects, and just enjoy this really naughty, lovely ice cream and sticky toffee sauce.
Okay, I need that salted caramel literally on everything.
It is pretty darn delicious.
Oh, but I would just like eat with a spoon. That's what I would do.
Yeah, it's a particularly good one. Do you have sticky toffee pudding over there? It's a very British thing.
I'm obsessed when we're in England, and I've made it here, but oh, it's so good.
I must let you have my recipe for sticky toffee pudding. But this sauce on the top of the sticky toffee pudding is just delicious.
It reminds me, I don't remember the name of it, but there was a French version of sticky toffee pudding. I'm trying to get it, but you make this dough and you let the dough sit in the refrigerator overnight. And then you can either make like one big one in one big kind of dish, or you can make individual ones. So you buy the dough among individual little dishes, or you just put it in one big one. But it's almost like a cross between not a sugar cookie dough because it's not as sweet, but it's sort of pie crust cookie dough texture.
That's a lot of things.
So good. But then on the stove, you make a caramel that is with maple syrup and heavy whipping cream.
Ooh,
and butter,
nice.
And butter and a bit of salt. And then you melt that, or you bring it to a boil, pour it over, and then bake it. So the dough, and it's sort of like a French version. It's sticky toffee-esque in a way.
Yeah,
but
sounds similar.
I would do that, but I would do your toffee over. It would be over the dough before. It would be so good.
So similar in principle to, say, a rhubarba or something like that, where you're soaking something into the dough.
It's more, it's not as light. Like a rhubarba almost is more like a cakey texture, where this is more cookie. It's a little bit heavier, but
we've gone off on a chat, haven't we?
We've gone,
people are watching. This is what we do. We end up chatting.
Exactly. We're here for the chat.
Chatting and drooling and going, oh my God, I want to eat that.
That salted caramel, though, sounds and looks amazing.
Yeah, and I'm definitely, well, I've got two now. I'm definitely going to do the chicken dish, but I'm going to do the focaccia as well. Actually, the two could go.
Well, I'll put the focaccia recipe down below, as well as the chicken.
That would be great. That would be great.
The chicken is just, it's a really easy weeknight dinner, and you can use it. And I think I mentioned this when I was cooking it. You can use it with any kind of chicken. You can even do it with a whole chicken if you wanted to roast a whole chicken. You can do it with chicken breast, chicken thighs, boneless, skinless, bone-in.
So whatever you fancy.
Whatever you fancy. It's just one of those really just good, basic, easy.
Would it work with duck, or is duck too fatty? Would it work with duck?
A little too fat. I think definitely a little too fat. I mean, you could certainly make like I feel like because duck is so fatty, I don't think a mustard sauce goes well with duck. I feel like fruit does better because you need something sweet to cut and tangy. So I love doing
to cut through the grease,
like a plum chutney or a cherry or a port sauce. You need something that kind of cut through.
Okay.
Fattiness.
Fine.
But you could do I'm trying to think what else you could do. Pork would be delicious.
Pork would be nice. Pork tenderloin would be lovely.
Would be delicious with it. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds really good. Well, those two are definitely on my to-do list. I just had a thought as well. We'll put at the beginning of this video the video of the seasonings that I had done, but harking back to somebody who is going to launch their own product or is a small artisan producer, have a look back at a video we did quite early doors, wasn't it, with Photopia, because we'll put the link. That'd be great, because they actually created that video for me, and they do all my photography as well, and that is important. Good photography. It took me years to learn that lesson.
Absolutely.
But if you've got a product, invest in good photography and watch that video, because she comes up with some really good tips as well. Lovely person.
So will people eat with their eyes? Like even when you go to a restaurant, when the plate's delivered to you, it can taste amazing, but it also needs to look. If they just put a pile of just stuff on your plate that doesn't look particularly appetizing, it's kind of hard to get excited to eat it.
I had last week Wagyu steak. I've never had it before.
Ooh, it's good. How was it? Did you like it?
We were both a little disappointed by it.
Interesting.
I mean, George was desperate, and we were celebrating his, share my whole family history with the general public. But George had just passed his exams, so I took him out for a meal, and they had it on the menu. I mean, it was a tiny little bit.
Well,
cost a fortune, but it was almost too fatty.
It's very fatty. It is.
Yeah. I mean, it's the duck that reminded me of that. It's just left that sort of slight film on your mouth. Yeah. A bit disappointed by that, really. But just thought I'd chuck that in for good measure, like share what I've been up to.
People need to know. The people need to know.
Absolutely. You need to know that I have tried Wagyu steak. It's taken quite a few decades to get there. I don't think I'd rush back, actually.
No. Did they serve it with a sauce or anything?
No, we went to, it was a very disappointing evening, so we won't go down too far into this. It was to celebrate his exams, and we were over an hour waiting for the food to come. So it was really poor, and I had to keep asking and asking. So it wasn't great.
Well, I don't know.
Not great.
I don't know what happened over, seriously, that's awful, because when you go out to eat, you want to have a great experience all around.
Yeah.
And if you eat that long, you want the food to be exceptional.
Yeah, we wanted, I'd left an hour and 40 minutes because we were going to go to the cinema as well, which cinemas have only just reopened over here. So that was a treat. But yeah, so as a consequence, we ended up with doggy bags, taking out because we just didn't have time to eat it.
That is disappointing. Well, I don't know if you're having an issue in the UK, but over here in the States, and here we go down a different path. But restaurants are having a very, very difficult time as they're reopening, finding people to staff them, because people that were, the restaurant industry, I think globally, was decimated pretty much by COVID. And now that they're starting to reopen, the people that used to be in the restaurant industry, needed other jobs, and they've either gone on to other jobs. Yes. So they're having a really hard time finding people to fill. So I know that when we've gone out, restaurants have very limited hours. So some restaurants that were open for lunch and dinner, some were only open for dinner. Some are. Yeah,
it's exactly the same. People have found other jobs and are finding that actually it's quite civilized outside of the catering industry. I mean, the working 9 till 5 as opposed to until 2 a.m.
Exactly.
And who can blame them, and probably were paid peanuts. So it's all relative, isn't it? Exactly. We've got to value our people and what we pay them, and and treat them a little bit better, I suppose.
I think so. Well, I think it will come back, but I think it's just going to take time for them to find the people that,
Well, we've got the double whammy because we've lost all of our European workers because of Brexit, but we won't go down that rabbit hole.
We'll save that for another time, as in never.
Yeah, scratch that one.
Edit that one out. Well, this was lovely. Your seasonings are amazing, and there will be a link below for you to purchase the seasonings.
Oh, yes, I'll do that. I've forgotten that bit. Yeah, that would be nice. If you want to buy some, that would be lovely.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
You definitely.
And what I'll do is I will investigate exporting them. I meant to do that today, actually, because I was in our local post office, and how I can go about getting them over to the United States, and if we can sort out something on the website that would allow you to buy them, that would be really good. If not, I'll have to have an agent in Lisa over there. You'll just have to buy them off her.
Perfect. I can do that.
Wonderful. Do that. You're such a star.
Oh, this was amazing. Your seasonings are amazing. And again, everyone, link below. Links are all below what we've talked about, recipes, links to the seasonings. Like and subscribe so you know when.
Oh, yes, please.
Yep.
Yeah.
And share.
That would be lovely.
Share. Feel free to share with other people that you know that love food and love to learn about food and recipes. Anything else? I think that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So until next Friday.
Yeah. Cheers, everybody. Have a lovely week.
Exactly. And we'll see you all next week.
Yeah. You take care.
You too. Bye-bye.